So what are the arguments that he gives? I mean, there's a claim here that, well, what is the claim here? He says in the beginning that there are three different sorts of philosophy to choose from in terms of approaches to these questions. One that he outright dismisses is dogmatism, the notion that we can take for granted any truth which is actually not evident in the way that he says there's also the academic philosophy, which sort of says that getting truth is impossible. And then there's skepticism, where he says we don't assume that we have it, but we keep on searching. So there is this question within Sextus that I have, I guess, is whether that last distinction between academic and skeptical approaches really holds up. That is, he says that the skeptics keep on searching, and that the academics have given up because they've decided that the search will never come to fruition. The reason I'm a little confused by it is because at certain points it does seem that he's establishing that truth is something that we can't have, that in principle we can't have, rather than something that we should keep on searching for. So I'm not really sure in that respect what the argument is meant to establish. It does seem that, for instance, the discussion of the fourth mode in chapter 14, which is just one of the 10 modes, the 10 ways that we reach this point of suspension of judgment or mental suspense, which leads to quietude, tranquility, peace, the ways that you arrive at this insight, that you don't know what the truth is, and that no one else knows it either, that these are the ways, and this fourth mode or fourth way has to do with circumstances, conditions, or disposition. It's extremely interesting. Now, it seems here that he's talking about our judgments about the bare facts of the physical world based on our sense impressions, like honey is sweet, or it is daytime right now, or Barack Obama is the President of the United States. These sort of what seem to be self-evident, perhaps, starting points for inquiry. That is, would seem that if we're going to do any sort of analysis, for instance, of the Obama presidency, one of the starting points of our analysis will be that he is indeed president. If he's not president, then an analysis of his presidency is pretty useless. If we are to make any kind of inquiry into what the weather's going to be like this afternoon, one of our presuppositions is that it's daytime, it's the afternoon, or will be at a certain point. So we can see these are pretty basic things that he seems to be denying, and that's why skepticism doesn't always get such a good rap, you know. But let's look at his arguments. I mean, in the fourth mode, what does he say? I mean, things appear differently to different people according to what condition they're in. What's a good example? The same coat, which seems of a bright yellow color to men with bloodshot eyes, does not appear so to me. And the same honey seems to me sweet, but bitter to me with jaundice. That is, depending on what condition our bodies, or parts of our bodies, or our senses, or our mental condition even, depending on what condition we're in, things will appear differently to us. Now, is that a knockdown, drag-out argument that in itself that we can't find the truth about these things? I think not, but it does lead to a certain insight. And that is that I do not experience these things directly. That is, the things of the world, the things that I sense, that I see, that I hear, that I touch, that I find out through my senses, that these things, let's say, I'm going to put this in an annotation so you can see it, reminding myself to do that. These things are mediated. These things are mediated. They are not immediate things. They are mediated things. That is, if I'm looking at any physical object, I'm looking at this hat, my knowledge of it, should I have any, is mediated. That is, I don't have an immediate contact with this hat. I know it through something else. That's the mediator. Through my senses, through my sight, my touch, my fingers, my eyes. And depending on what condition those things are in, the thing will appear differently to me. So that is an important insight, and I'm pretty sure that that's good, that that's true. So the question then is, if people are in different conditions, bodies, their minds, eyes, ears, sense of touch. And things appear differently to different people according to the condition they're in. Then who's right? Which appearance is the true appearance? He says further on in the chapter, seeing then that the dispositions also are the cause of so much disagreement, that men are differently disposed at different times, although no doubt it is easy to say what nature each of the underlying objects appears to each man to possess, we cannot go on to say what its real nature is, since the disagreement admits in itself of no settlement. This is why I'm wondering if he really thinks that it's possible to find truth in philosophy, whether it's worthwhile to go on searching. Then he continues, for the person who tries to settle it is either in one of the aforementioned dispositions or in no disposition whatsoever, but to declare that he is in no disposition at all, as for instance, neither in health nor sickness, neither in motion nor at rest, of no definite age, and devoid of all the other dispositions as well, is the height of absurdity. That is, each of us views the world, experiences the world as we are, and affected as we are, from a certain position, in a certain condition, a certain age, a certain species. These are great, something I didn't give you, if you ever want to look at the outlines of Cronism. Yes, great comparison of the way that animals of different sorts experience the world as opposed to human beings, and a wonderful, long defense of the rationality of the dog, which is, I think, meant as a joke, but is also, it is hysterical, but also enlightening. That is, to say that we are in no particular condition is absurd. We're all in a particular condition, which influences the way we see the world. So how can anyone claim that their particular way of seeing the world is superior to anyone who disagrees with them? And if he is to judge, he continues, the sense impressions, while he is in some one disposition, he will be a party to the disagreement. And moreover, he will not be an impartial judge of the external underlying objects, owing to his being confused by the dispositions in which he is placed. So in any dispute about the nature of the world, no one can claim to be an impartial third party, and no one can claim to view the world as it is, as opposed to view it in a particular way from a particular viewpoint, shaped by one's particular condition. So that's one of his arguments, I think, that leads to suspension of judgment. The other one, and perhaps the one that connects up more closely with our previous readings, has to do with the defense of the criterion, also things like induction and the syllogism. So we're going to have at least one more video.